If you watched my last video, you might have realised that the skipping rope I printed didn't quite go to plan and ended up shattering into two pieces when it was used at speed. I am conscious of my 3D printing wastage, however, though, so if possible I like to convert failed prints into something usable where possible. Since what we're effectively left up with is chains, as you can see, it seems like a 3D printed rope, lead, dog walking thing would be quite good, and that's exactly what I'm going to make today. My plan is to use both of the two halves of the rope to create a long enough dog lead, and then I'm just going to need to print some sort of attachment to put this piece onto the dog's collar, which shouldn't be too tricky. So I did a quick sketch. This is the little piece that I'm planning to use to connect the chain to the dog clip itself. It's going to be printed in TPU and has a little wedge that gradually increases in thickness, and then a raised notch which can ensure the clip stays in place. There's also going to be a small little add-on to the top, which is where the TPU chunk will add in to the chain. And here's how the part turned out in Fusion 360. I modelled the part starting with a circular sketch, which I then extruded upwards to form a cylinder. I then added a sketch to the side so that I could cut through and form the circular section in the middle, and also the thin section that would allow the part to clip onto the dog lead. I then added the handle to the top of the part by extruding a rectangle, cutting a circle through it, and finishing it off with a nice chamfered edge. Okay, so I've printed the part and it's come out fine. It's a nice small little part. I actually did two prints first of a slightly different design. The first print came out like this one. I didn't have a solid top, and so this bit breaks off really easily, so I made sure to print that as 100% infill for the second one. And also I had a slightly bigger gap on this point here, and that's bigger than it needed to be. So on the second one I reduced the size of the gap and also made the triangle that the lead has to pull through just a little bit smaller, and I've also added in a round hole at the end to allow the lead to move through and wriggle around with more degrees of movement. I then also decided that it really didn't need to be so big, so reduced the print down to save some material and also still keeping all of that easy to print situation where no supports are needed. I've also reduced the size of the entrance for the chain because it just did not need to be so big, since this TPU is quite flexible anyway. I'm now going to assemble it in with the leads and then we'll go see the doggo. Okay, so we've got the little connector that we're going to use. I've got one lead here from the skipping rope video, which you might have seen. That's just up in this corner here if you haven't watched it. I'm going to take an extra one of these separately printed connector pieces, which I had already done from the last video as well, and pop that on there. I'm going to remove the chain from this other skipping rope handle and add that onto the connector clip just to make the chain a bit longer. And then I just need one more connector clip and can add that onto the end. And then add this connector clip to the TPU piece. This bit here will just attach to the dog's collar. So I took the dog's collar, found the round steel section, attached the TPU clip, and the lead was looking beautiful. Dog didn't seem to be having any issues trotting around. Sadly, the chain did end up snapping when the dog decided to chase after another dog, and that left him free to roam around, leadless. So yeah, 3D printing chains in PLA, yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. Stay away from that. Well, to be honest, if it was a lot thicker, it probably would be fine, but that chain actually snapped against the layer lines, which is where the part should be strongest, so it really did show that that wasn't up to the job. When the dog was running off to try and see another dog, the chain just went away with him. Do subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I will try to keep them more successful in the future, but hey, a failure at my end means you don't have to do it too. So you can learn from my mistakes in that way also. Also give it a like if you did enjoy, and if you have any comments, put them down below. See you next time.